The final voice you listen to before sleep may become the first voice that directs you when morning arrives. Most people go to bed believing that sleep is simply the end of the day. They close their eyes, surrender to exhaustion, and assume that the work of the mind has stopped. But the mind does not become powerless when the room becomes dark. It continues to absorb. It continues to organize. It continues to strengthen the thoughts that have been repeated with emotion, whether those thoughts are constructive or destructive. And this is why so many people wake up carrying the same fear they carried into the night. They fall asleep thinking about what went wrong. They replay the insult. They replay the failure. They replay the opportunity they missed, the money they do not have, the person who disappointed them, the future they are afraid to face. Then they wonder why morning does not feel like a new beginning. Morning cannot feel new when the mind spent the night rehearsing the past. Your body may have rested, but your identity remained under the command of yesterday. For the next 7 nights, do not treat sleep as an escape from life. Treat it as a private meeting with the person you intend to become. This is not magic. This is not a promise that 7 nights will place wealth in your hands, remove every obstacle, or cause success to arrive without effort. 7 nights cannot replace work. 7 nights cannot replace courage. 7 nights cannot replace skill, decision, planning, persistence, or action. But 7 nights can expose the mental habits that have been quietly directing your life. 7 nights can show you how often you have allowed fear to speak the final word. 7 nights can help you interrupt the pattern of falling asleep as one person and waking up as the same defeated version of yourself. Because every life is shaped twice. First in thought, then in action. The visible life is built from invisible instructions. A decision begins as a thought. A habit begins as a thought repeated. A plan begins as a thought organized. Courage begins as a thought accepted before the evidence appears. Defeat also begins as a thought, especially when it is repeated so often that the mind stops questioning it. The mind eventually obeys the picture it is shown most consistently. Show it weakness every night, and weakness becomes familiar. Show it fear, and fear begins to sound reasonable. Show it a future of failure, and your actions will quietly prepare to fulfill it. But show it a clear purpose. Repeat that purpose with conviction. Connect it to action, and something begins to change. You begin to wake with direction. You begin to recognize opportunities that were previously hidden beneath distraction. You begin to make decisions faster because your purpose has already decided what matters. You begin to protect your time because the future you desire has become more emotionally real than the comfort that keeps delaying it. The first night begins with definite purpose. A man without a definite purpose goes to sleep with 1,000 unfinished voices in his mind. One voice tells him to seek wealth. Another tells him to avoid risk. One voice tells him to change his life. Another tells him tomorrow is soon enough. One voice tells him he was born for something greater. Another reminds him of every failure that appears to prove otherwise. This inner conflict is exhausting because the mind has not been given a central command. A definite purpose does not mean knowing every step. It does not mean possessing the complete plan. It does not mean understanding exactly how the result will arrive. It means choosing one dominant aim around which your energy can organize itself. A ship does not need to see the entire ocean to leave the harbor, but it must know which direction it intends to travel. Without direction, movement becomes waste. Without purpose, effort becomes exhaustion. Without a clear aim, even discipline feels meaningless because sacrifice has no destination. Tonight, before sleep, do not ask yourself what you casually want. Ask what you are willing to become responsible for. What result matters enough that you would reorganize your habits around it? What future is important enough that you would refuse the distractions that have been stealing your days? What kind of achievement would demand that you become more focused, more skilled, more patient, and more disciplined than you are now? Do not choose a purpose because it sounds impressive to other people. A borrowed purpose has no power in the hour of difficulty. When resistance appears, you will abandon what was never truly yours. The purpose must touch something deep enough that you can feel its absence. Perhaps you want financial independence, not because money itself is sacred, but because you are tired of living under the authority of fear. Perhaps you want to build a business, not because you desire applause, but because you know you have an idea capable of creating real value. Perhaps you want to master your body, your craft, your profession, or your mind, because you can no longer tolerate the pain of watching your potential remain unused. There must be a reason beneath the reason. Wealth is rarely the deepest desire. Freedom may be deeper. Recognition is rarely the deepest desire. Significance may be deeper. Achievement is rarely the deepest desire. Self-respect may be deeper. When you know the deeper reason, the purpose begins to carry emotional power. Write the aim in one clear sentence. Do not write 10 competing ambitions. Do not create a page full of vague hopes. Write one sentence that gives your mind a destination. Then ask the second question: what must I become in order to carry this result? Because the achievement and the identity cannot be separated. A weak man may desire a powerful life, but the life will demand that he strengthen himself. A distracted mind may desire mastery, but mastery will demand focus. An indecisive person may desire leadership, but leadership will demand decision. A man who breaks every promise to himself may desire confidence, but confidence will demand evidence that his own commands can be trusted. Your purpose must not only describe what you want to receive, it must describe who you are willing to become. As you lie in the darkness, repeat the purpose slowly. Not like a desperate wish, not like a child begging the universe for a reward. Repeat it as a responsibility. Let the words remind you that tomorrow must contain proof. Purpose without action becomes fantasy. Purpose connected to daily action becomes direction. The second night belongs to autosuggestion. The world is constantly suggesting an identity to you. Advertisements suggest that you are incomplete. Social media suggests that everyone is moving faster than you. News suggests that danger is everywhere. Criticism suggests that your limitations are permanent. Old failures suggest that your future will resemble your past. Family expectations may suggest that you should remain within the boundaries of what others understand. Every repeated message tries to enter the mind and become a belief. If you do not deliberately influence your own mind, you will eventually live according to suggestions chosen by strangers. This is the modern battle for the mind. Your attention is surrounded by people, platforms, and systems that profit when you remain restless, insecure, distracted, and emotionally reactive. The more scattered you become, the easier you are to control. The more frequently you compare yourself, the more easily you can be persuaded that you need what they are selling. The more frightened you become, the less likely you are to think independently. A distracted mind is not free simply because no chains are visible. The chains are hidden inside the habits of attention. Autosuggestion means choosing the message you will deliberately impress upon your own mind. But this is where many people become foolish. They repeat empty statements that their own mind rejects. They say they are wealthy while refusing to develop value. They say they are disciplined while protecting every weak habit. They say they are confident while avoiding every action that would build confidence. Words without action create inner conflict. The subconscious is influenced not merely by what you say, but by what your repeated behavior appears to prove. Therefore, your nightly statement must contain both identity and command. Do not merely say, "I am successful." Say, "I am becoming the kind of person who completes the work that success requires." Do not merely say, "I am confident." Say, "I act before fear has finished speaking." Do not merely say, "I am disciplined." Say, "I keep the next promise I make to myself." The statement becomes powerful when the morning can verify it. Before sleep, repeat a message connected to a specific act. Tomorrow, I will begin the most important task before I enter the world of distraction. Tomorrow, I will make the call I have been avoiding. Tomorrow, I will complete the first hour of work without surrendering my attention to my phone. Tomorrow, I will study the skill that my future requires. Tomorrow, I will act as a builder rather than a spectator. The mind learns through repetition, but it believes through evidence. Every completed action becomes evidence. Every kept promise becomes evidence. Every moment in which you choose purpose over impulse becomes evidence. The modern world tells people to improve their confidence first and act second, but often the order is reversed. Action produces evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. Belief makes action more natural. This is how identity begins to change, not in one dramatic declaration, but through a repeated agreement between words and behavior. The third night belongs to faith. Faith is often mistaken for passive optimism. It is treated like a warm feeling that appears when circumstances are favorable. But faith that depends on favorable circumstances is not faith. It is merely comfort. True faith becomes necessary when the evidence is incomplete. It is the ability to remain emotionally connected to a worthy purpose before the outside world confirms that the purpose is possible. Every meaningful achievement passes through a period when it exists nowhere except in the imagination and determination of the person pursuing it. Before a building rises, it exists as a plan. Before a company grows, it exists as an idea. Before an invention works, it exists through experiments that may repeatedly fail. Before a person becomes disciplined, discipline exists as an intention challenged by the old habit. The visible result arrives late. The inner commitment must arrive first. Edison could not allow each failed experiment to become a final verdict on his aim. Ford could not require universal approval before continuing with his vision. Lincoln could not build his entire identity from temporary defeat. Disney could not allow rejection to become the definition of his imagination. They were not protected from discouragement. They developed a relationship with purpose that was stronger than the evidence of the moment. This is the practical meaning of faith. It does not deny reality. It refuses to treat current reality as final. A man with faith can examine his weakness without identifying himself permanently as weak. He can acknowledge that his plan failed without declaring that his purpose has failed. He can face rejection without allowing rejection to decide his worth. He can recognize that he lacks knowledge while still believing he can acquire it. He can admit that the road is difficult without using difficulty as proof that he should turn back. Before sleep on the third night, look at your present circumstances honestly. Do not exaggerate them. Do not minimize them. Name the obstacle. Name the weakness. Name the missing skill. Name the debt. Name the fear. Name the habit that has repeatedly defeated you. Then say, "This is my present condition. It is not my final identity." Faith does not require you to lie about the present. It requires you to stop worshiping it. Your current life is evidence of past thought, past action, past habits, past decisions, and past tolerances. It is not a prison built by destiny. It is a structure that can be changed when new thought is followed by new action long enough. The mind needs an image of the person you intend to become. See yourself rising without immediately reaching for distraction. See yourself doing the difficult work before the comfortable work. See yourself speaking with calm authority. See yourself making decisions without seeking permission from every fearful voice around you. See yourself completing the task, learning the skill, handling the pressure, and continuing after the first disappointment. But do not stop at the image of the reward. Most people visualize only the victory. They imagine the applause, the money, the freedom, the recognition. They do not imagine themselves performing the labor. Visualize the discipline. Visualize the early hour. Visualize the repetition. Visualize the moment when you are tired and continue anyway. Visualize yourself receiving criticism without losing command of your emotions. Visualize yourself adjusting the plan instead of abandoning the aim. Faith becomes stronger when you can see yourself carrying the process, not merely receiving the prize. The fourth night belongs to decision. Indecision is one of the most expensive habits a person can develop because its cost is usually invisible. There is no receipt for the opportunity you delayed until it disappeared. There is no invoice for the confidence you lost by repeatedly ignoring your own judgment. There is no public record of the life that might have been built if you had decided sooner. Indecision feels safe because nothing immediately collapses. But while you wait, your will grows weaker. Every time you know what must be done and refuse to decide, you teach your mind that fear has authority. Every time you postpone a necessary choice, you strengthen the habit of retreat. Every time you ask for one more sign, one more opinion, one more guarantee, you surrender another piece of your independence. The undecided person believes he is avoiding risk. In reality, he is choosing the risk of remaining exactly where he is. There are decisions that require information. There are decisions that require patience. There are decisions that should not be made recklessly. But there is also a form of endless preparation that is simply fear wearing respectable clothing. You tell yourself you are researching. You tell yourself you are waiting for the perfect moment. You tell yourself you need more confidence. But confidence often waits on the other side of decision. Life rarely sends certainty in advance. The road becomes clear because you begin walking. Before sleep on the fourth night, identify one decision you have been delaying. Do not choose something meaningless. Choose the decision that has been quietly draining your energy. Perhaps you already know that a habit must end. Perhaps you know that a project must begin. Perhaps you know that you must change your environment. Perhaps you know that you must have a difficult conversation. Perhaps you know that your current standard is too low. Perhaps you know that you have been hiding behind preparation because action might expose your weaknesses. Decide what you will do. Then decide what you will no longer negotiate. A powerful decision closes certain doors. It says, this excuse will no longer receive a hearing. It says, I will not debate with the same fear every morning. It says, the direction has been chosen. Now the plan must serve the decision. A decision does not guarantee that the first method will work. It guarantees that you will no longer waste your life pretending the direction is unknown. When Carnegie sought the principles behind achievement, he understood that wealth was not simply the product of labor. It was connected to organized thought, specialized knowledge, cooperation, decision, and persistence. When Ford pursued a vision others doubted, he did not wait for doubt to disappear from the world. When people with definite purpose act, they do not demand that every observer agree. They understand that an outside opinion has power only when the inner mind surrenders to it. Before you sleep, make the decision in writing. Then identify the first action that will make the decision visible. A private decision becomes powerful when it enters the physical world. Send the message. Prepare the document. Remove the distraction. Set the alarm. Block the hour. Make the appointment. Begin the first page. End the weak agreement. Decision is the moment when thought stops circling and begins moving. The fifth night belongs to organized planning. A burning desire without organized planning can become emotional exhaustion. You may want the result intensely. You may think about it every day. You may speak about it with passion. But if the desire never enters the calendar, the budget, the routine, the skill development process, or the list of measurable actions, it remains trapped in imagination. The world is full of people who have powerful intentions and disorganized days. They say the dream matters, but their schedule gives the dream no protected time. They say they want mastery, but they practice only when motivation appears. They say they want financial strength, but they refuse to study value, control waste, or build a useful skill. They say they want peace, but they invite noise into every available moment. Your schedule reveals what your words may be trying to hide. The purpose you truly serve is the purpose that receives your time. Organized planning does not require a perfect system. It requires a method that translates intention into action. Before sleep, ask a simple question. What is the most important action I must complete tomorrow? Not the easiest action, not the most comfortable action, not the action that allows you to feel busy while avoiding the real work. Choose the action most directly connected to your definite purpose. Then decide when it will happen. A task without a time remains vulnerable to every distraction. The phone rings, the message arrives, the mood changes, the day becomes crowded. By evening, the important work has once again been sacrificed to what appeared urgent. Modern life rewards reaction. Every platform is designed to interrupt. Every notification demands immediate attention. Every new piece of information arrives pretending to be more important than the life you are trying to build. If you do not decide the purpose of your morning before you sleep, the world will decide it for you when you wake. The first minutes of the day are often stolen by a device. Before a person has remembered his purpose, he has absorbed the demands, opinions, images, and emotional states of strangers. He begins the day mentally surrounded before he has even commanded himself. Organized planning begins the night before. Prepare the environment. Place the book where you will see it. Open the document. Remove the unnecessary tabs. Charge the phone outside the room if the phone has become your master. Prepare the clothing. Write the first question. Set out the tools. Reduce the number of decisions standing between waking and beginning. Discipline is not only the power to resist temptation, it is the intelligence to remove unnecessary temptation before it demands resistance. A strong plan protects the weaker moments. It does not assume that tomorrow's version of you will feel endlessly motivated. It creates a structure that makes the right action easier to begin. But do not worship the plan. A plan is a servant of the purpose. If the plan fails, change it. If the method produces no progress, study why. If you lack knowledge, seek knowledge. If you lack skill, practice. If you lack cooperation, find people whose strengths complement your weakness. If the road is blocked, do not sit before the obstacle and call yourself loyal because you refuse to move. Adaptation is not betrayal. A river changes direction without changing destination. The sixth night belongs to persistence. Persistence begins where emotional excitement ends. Anyone can begin a new discipline when the idea feels powerful. Anyone can make promises while inspired. Anyone can work intensely for one day. The true test arrives after the novelty disappears. The alarm sounds, and the body asks for comfort. The work becomes repetitive. The results remain invisible. Someone criticizes the effort. The first plan fails. The audience does not respond. The money does not arrive. The confidence that felt strong during the beginning becomes quiet. This is where most dreams are abandoned, not because the dream became impossible, but because the dream stopped producing immediate emotional reward. Modern life trains the mind to expect constant stimulation. Swipe, refresh, click, receive. The brain becomes accustomed to quick novelty and fast response. Then a meaningful goal demands weeks, months, or years of repetition, and the undisciplined mind interprets slowness as failure. But the most valuable things often grow quietly. A seed beneath the earth does not appear successful. It is surrounded by darkness. It carries weight above it. No applause reaches it. No proof is visible. Yet roots are forming. The invisible work is preparing the visible result. Many people destroy their future because they dig up the seed every few days to ask why it has not become a tree. Persistence means continuing long enough for organized effort to accumulate. It does not mean blindly repeating a method that clearly fails. It means refusing to surrender the definite purpose while remaining intelligent enough to improve the method. Edison persisted, but he also learned from experiments. Ford persisted, but he organized minds and systems. Lincoln persisted, but each defeat deepened his experience. Persistence without learning becomes stubbornness. Learning without persistence becomes endless preparation. Achievement requires both. Before sleep on the sixth night, remember a moment in which you stopped too early. Do not use the memory to punish yourself. Use it to understand the pattern. Did you stop because the goal was wrong, or did you stop because progress became uncomfortable? Did you stop because the plan required change, or did you stop because your ego could not tolerate temporary failure? Did you stop because the path became impossible, or because the path refused to remain easy? There is a difference between wisdom and retreat. Wisdom changes the strategy. Retreat abandons the purpose to escape discomfort. Tell yourself before sleep, tomorrow I will complete the next necessary repetition. Not the entire journey, not every future struggle, the next repetition, the next page, the next call, the next hour, the next attempt, the next act of courage. A mountain is not climbed in one movement. It is conquered because the climber repeatedly refuses to make the next step optional. Persistence is built in smaller units than people imagine. It is built when you continue for 10 more minutes after the first impulse to stop. It is built when you return after a bad day instead of allowing one failure to become a new identity. It is built when you complete the work without applause. It is built when no one is watching, and the only reward is the knowledge that you obeyed your purpose. The seventh night belongs to environment and the master mind. No mind develops alone. Even private thought is shaped by repeated influence. The people around you become part of your internal language. Their standards enter your expectations. Their fears begin to sound like caution. Their courage makes greater action appear possible. Their habits slowly become normal. Their conversations either enlarge your vision or reduce it. This does not mean you must reject everyone who does not share your ambition. It means you must understand that association has consequences. There are people you can love without allowing them to direct your life. There are opinions you can hear without accepting them as commands. There are environments you can enter without permitting them to become your mental home. The mastermind is not simply a group of friends. It is the deliberate coordination of people who bring knowledge, experience, imagination, discipline, honesty, and constructive energy to a shared purpose. One person may possess the vision. Another may understand finance. Another may understand human behavior. Another may possess technical skill. Another may recognize the weakness in the plan. Another may offer courage in the hour when temporary defeat appears convincing. A powerful alliance does not merely agree with you. It strengthens the purpose by challenging what is weak. Do not surround yourself only with people who praise every idea. Praise without honesty can be as dangerous as criticism without understanding. Seek people who respect the aim enough to tell you when the method is poor. Seek people who have achieved something through disciplined effort. Seek people whose presence raises your standard. Seek people who make your excuses sound smaller. But before asking what others can bring to your purpose, ask what you bring to theirs. A man who desires a master mind must become worthy of cooperation. He must become reliable. He must become useful. He must develop knowledge. He must learn to listen. He must control jealousy. He must honor agreements. He must contribute energy rather than merely consume it. The master mind cannot remain in harmony when one person is ruled by ego, secrecy, laziness, or the desire to receive without giving. Your environment also includes what you consume alone: the books, the videos, the music, the conversations, the repeated images, the accounts you follow, the subjects you allow to occupy your final hour before sleep. A person may leave a negative room and then carry 10,000 negative voices into bed through a screen. He believes he is resting while his attention is being filled with comparison, anger, argument, temptation, and fear. Then he tries to repeat one positive sentence after an hour of mental poison and wonders why the sentence has no power. You cannot feed weakness for 23 hours and expect 1 minute of affirmation to create strength. Mental conditioning is not a ritual added to a disorganized life. It is a standard that begins changing what you allow near your mind. On the seventh night, protect the final hour. Lower the noise. Review the definite purpose. Read something that strengthens the principle you are trying to live. Write the action you completed. Write the lesson you learned. Write the correction tomorrow requires. Then express gratitude, not as a performance, but as a recognition of resources already available. Gratitude does not mean pretending you possess everything you desire. It means refusing to overlook the tools from which the next stage can be built. You have the ability to think. You have the ability to learn. You have the ability to make a decision. You have the ability to change association. You have the ability to attempt again. You have the ability to use the next hour differently from the last. A mind obsessed only with what is missing may fail to use what is present. Gratitude restores awareness. Awareness discovers opportunity. Opportunity combined with decision becomes movement. Movement repeated with persistence becomes progress. After 7 nights, you may not wake with a fortune. You may not wake to applause. You may not wake with every answer, but you should wake with something more valuable than a temporary emotional high. You should wake with evidence that you can command the final thoughts of your day. You should wake with a purpose that is becoming clearer. You should wake with a message you deliberately selected instead of one chosen by fear. You should wake with an action already waiting. You should wake understanding that faith is not a substitute for effort, but the emotional force that helps effort survive uncertainty. You should wake knowing that decision ends the inner debate. You should wake with a plan capable of protecting your attention. You should wake prepared to repeat the work even when the result remains invisible. You should wake more conscious of the people and influences shaping your mind. This is how a person begins to wake up different, not because sleep magically transformed him, because he stopped surrendering the night to thoughts that weakened the morning. The phrase "wake up different" does not mean becoming a completely new person in 1 week. It means waking with a different command. Yesterday, your first command may have come from anxiety. Tomorrow, it can come from purpose. Yesterday, your first movement may have been toward distraction. Tomorrow, it can be toward the most important task. Yesterday, you may have carried the same unresolved decision into another day. Tomorrow, the decision can already be made. The greatest transformation often begins quietly. No one hears the internal agreement. No one applauds the moment you place the phone away. No one sees the sentence written beside the bed. No one knows that you have finally decided to stop negotiating with the habit that has been controlling you. The world sees transformation late. It sees the stronger body after months of training. It sees the business after years of invisible work. It sees the confident voice after countless private acts of courage. It sees the result, but rarely sees the nights in which the identity was rehearsed and the mornings in which the rehearsal became action. Your life is being shaped in these private hours, the hour when you could return to the old story but choose a new command. The hour when you could replay resentment but choose purpose. The hour when you could fill the mind with random noise, but choose an idea worthy of tomorrow. The hour when you could demand proof before believing, but instead choose to believe enough to produce the next piece of proof through action. Do not ask the night to give you success. Use the night to prepare yourself to recognize, create, and deserve success. Do not ask the night to remove resistance. Use the night to strengthen the decision that will meet resistance. Do not ask the night to perform the work. Use the night to organize the mind that will perform the work when morning arrives. Success does not enter a life merely because it was desired before sleep. It enters when desire becomes purpose, purpose becomes decision, decision becomes planning, planning becomes action, action becomes persistence, and persistence is strengthened by intelligent association. This is the chain. Break one link, and the dream remains weak. Strengthen every link, and the invisible thought begins to enter the visible world. Tonight, close the day deliberately. Do not carry every argument into bed. Do not let every mistake demand another hour of your attention. Learn from the day, but do not become its prisoner. Ask what the day revealed. Did your purpose govern your time? Did your thoughts strengthen or weaken you? Did your words agree with your actions? Did you make the decision? Did you follow the plan? Did you persist beyond the first discomfort? Did your environment raise your standard? Then make one correction, not 20, one correction that tomorrow can prove. The mind becomes overwhelmed when the demand is vague and enormous. It becomes powerful when the command is clear and immediate. Tomorrow, begin here. Tomorrow, complete this. Tomorrow, refuse that. Tomorrow, call this person. Tomorrow, study this subject. Tomorrow, protect this hour. Tomorrow, keep this promise. Then sleep. Not as a person escaping responsibility. Sleep as a builder who has prepared the next stage. Sleep with the knowledge that morning is not simply another day arriving. It is another opportunity to prove that your mind can be commanded. You do not need 7 perfect nights. Perfection is another disguise used by delay. You need 7 honest nights, 7 nights in which you become aware of the final message. 7 mornings in which one deliberate action confirms that message. If one night is weak, return the next night. If one morning is wasted, reclaim the next hour. Do not allow a temporary failure to become a permanent permission slip. The old identity will resist. It will tell you that this is only another temporary attempt. It will remind you of every promise you previously broke. It will say that you have started before. Answer it with evidence. Do not argue for an hour. Complete the action. The old identity cannot survive endless evidence of new behavior. Every completed action removes another brick from the structure that once held you. Every decision made with courage changes the way you see yourself. Every promise kept teaches the mind that your words now possess authority. Eventually, the person you are becoming no longer feels imaginary. He becomes the one making the decisions. She becomes the one choosing the standard. The future identity becomes the present command. And this is when the world begins to notice what you have known privately. You walk differently because you are no longer divided against yourself. You speak differently because your words are supported by action. You use time differently because purpose has given it value. You respond to difficulty differently because temporary evidence no longer controls the entire vision. You choose people differently because you understand the cost of association. You enter the night differently because you know that the last thought is not small. It is a seed. Choose the seed carefully. Do not plant fear and ask for courage. Do not plant distraction and ask for mastery. Do not plant indecision and ask for progress. Do not plant resentment and ask for peace. Plant purpose. Plant belief connected to labor. Plant a definite decision. Plant tomorrow's plan. Plant the willingness to persist. Plant gratitude for the tools already in your hands. Plant the image of the person who completes the work. Then rise and cultivate it. Because no seed grows through imagination alone. It grows through attention, environment, patience, correction, and repeated care. Your future is not built only in the night, but the night can become the place where the future receives its command. For 7 nights, stop allowing the world to speak last. Let purpose speak last. Let decision speak last. Let faith speak last. Let the plan speak last. Let the person you are becoming speak last. And when morning arrives, do not ask whether you feel transformed. Ask whether you are prepared to act differently. Feelings may follow, confidence may follow, results may follow, but action must go first. Wake up and prove the command. Wake up and perform the first task. Wake up and protect the first hour. Wake up and become evidence that the mind can be trained, the habit can be changed, the purpose can be served, and the future can be built. Not in one night, not through magic, but through one deliberate night, followed by one disciplined morning, repeated until the old life no longer recognizes the person who has taken command. Tonight, listen carefully. Tomorrow, act decisively. And after 7 nights, do not tell the world that you have changed. Let the world discover it through what you repeatedly do.